What's going on, peeps? It's Wrath here, and today we're going to talk about some new concerns surrounding Watcher of Realms that I've come up with after reading the legislation pertaining to it. We'll kind of go through that a little bit and see why I'm very worried about the future of Watcher of Realms for American players. Again, outside of American players, this isn't going to directly impact you right away, but down the road it very well could. You know, if you don't have the American player base, American spenders, new players coming in from America, that will negatively impact the game in the long run. Just the way things kind of work. So you might not feel these implications right away, but down the road, this still might affect you. That said, we're going to jump in and talk about this. Don't worry, I'm not going to read this entire bill. This is, if you're not familiar with it, this is the legislation that America has passed. It is affecting Watcher of Realms right now. We're not going to read the whole thing, like I said. There's no point in doing so. We're going to read just a few little parts that actually tend to pertain to what our situation is as Watcher of Realms gamers. Let's get into it. So, first things first, we're going to read the opening here. This is an act to protect the national security of the United States from the threat posed by foreign adversary-controlled applications, such as TikTok. This is the primary goal of this legislation, was targeting TikTok. But they have to kind of blanket things, because just because you ban TikTok, if you don't ban the parent company, their subsidiary companies, they can just simply make TikTok V2 and try to subvert the legislation, and then it's no longer in effect. So they made sure to word this in such a way that that wouldn't happen. So TikTok or any successor application, i.e. TikTok 2, or service, or any other application or service developed or provided by ByteDance, that is TikTok's parent company, right? So this is covering ByteDance themselves, just cloning the app essentially. But they also have to cover any entity under the control of ByteDance, right? And that's going to be where we fall in, right? Moonton. This is an entity under the control of ByteDance. We are a subsidiary of ByteDance, and that's where Watcher of Realms falls into the situation. Bam. So, why is this worrisome? The deals and negotiations that are going to be going on surrounding this bill are not going to be prioritizing this part of the bill. They don't care about the entities under the control of ByteDance. They are worried about TikTok. That is the big issue here. That's what they're going to the table to discuss, is divesting TikTok, because what they're looking for is they are looking to make TikTok fall under this, right? This is what, Section 2, subsection C. They're looking to get TikTok into the exemption category, right? TikTok is exempted from this law, ergo you can use TikTok in America, and it goes back to being hunky-dory the way it was before. The downside to this is, like, just because, like, if they do get to the table and let's say a deal is reached, TikTok divestitutes or whatever the crap it is, they divest, it all works out, TikTok's available, they now qualify for an exemption. The rest of this law doesn't go away, right? TikTok has just found itself a way, an exemption, right, the qualified exemption, to get around the law and still function in America. Whereas Moonton is not, right? They're not going to be sitting at that table being like, hey, who wants to buy, Moonton 50% controlling interest or whatever, so that we can also use America. That's not going to be how it goes down, at least to my knowledge. Like I said, I'm not a legal professional. I am not a senator. I don't know 100% how things shake out, but to my knowledge, what's going to take place is all the negotiation deals, they're going to center around TikTok itself and try and get TikTok into the exemption category so that it can be used in America. And they're not going to worry about Moonton, right? It's not going to probably even be discussed in the negotiations. They probably won't even mention the name Moonton in any of these talks. And that's my worry. So right now, Americans, as you know, servers are back up. You're playing Watcher of Realms. I've seen a couple people saying things like they can't make in-app purchases. This doesn't really affect me. I haven't spent any money on Watcher of Realms, so I haven't tried to buy anything else. I haven't bought anything to start with. So maybe that's the case, maybe it's not. If it is the case and they've blocked all in-app purchases for the current time, that's still going to be in effect, obviously, if the TikTok deal goes through and Moonton stays out of the conversation there. The law stays, Moonton's still banned, Watcher of Realms is still banned. You can't make purchases in the app. Now, a lot of people have said, like, well, it's okay, you can still play using a VPN. And there is truth to that. You can still load up the game. You can still play it using a VPN. But if you are an American and you have an American address, an American Google Play account, an American Apple ID, you still can't buy things in Watcher of Realms, right? Because when you go to make a purchase, it's going to look at your billing address, your payment method, and be like, these are American, payment methods. These are American addresses. You can't buy things here. This is not available for you, and it will fail to make the purchase. Is there going to be ways to get around that? Potentially. Very possible. As for updates on the app, I'm not sure how that's going to work. If you're going to have to go through like the whole process of trying to change your country of origin for your Google Play account, for your Apple ID account, just to get updates for the game, and then come back and try to change everything over to play in America, I don't know. I'm not an expert on VPNs and stuff like that. I'm not going to pretend to be. But what it looks like is this is going to be a major headache for any American player that, even if a deal does go through, is going to have to try to slog through for every update the game has. Anytime they want to try to make a purchase, there's going to be a million miles of red tape and crap you've got to sift through just to play the game. This is why I'm worried. So even, like I said, even if everything goes through for TikTok and it all works out, it's still probably not going to work out for Watcher of Realms. And if it doesn't work out for Watcher of Realms, the amount of red tape and stuff you're going to have to go through just to try to play the game at a normal level or be able to spend money or get your updates is going to be more than most players want to deal with, essentially, right? You might have content creators who, like, they make a lot of money playing the game, and that's like their main source of revenue, and they're like, okay, I'm going to do everything I can to keep playing the game. I can understand trying to do that, I guess. But at the same time, you're going to lose the vast majority of your American player base, to my knowledge. They're not going to want to go through all that work just to play one phone game. It's not really worth it, in my opinion. It may be to you, and if it is to you, go ahead and give it a shot and do your best. But like I said, not going to try to beat a dead horse here, but it looks like, just a big recap here, even if a deal is reached. So if a deal isn't reached, just if you're curious about this, there's a 0% chance of Watcher of Realms ever working in America again. No deal reached, it's over, right? Watcher of Realms is gone for sure. But I had a little bit of hope that if a deal was reached, maybe things are okay and it's not a problem. But after actually reading the legislation myself, again, I'm a layman, not a senator, not a lawyer. What it does seem to, I guess, point to is that even if TikTok does manage to work their way into a qualified exemption, Moonton and Watcher of Realms are not going to be part of that. They're still going to be, by law, banned because they are an application or service developed or provided by ByteDance or an entity under the control of ByteDance. Even though TikTok exempts its way out, all this other stuff is still there. So there you go. That's my concerns with Watcher of Realms. My initial plan was, hey, I'll just keep playing for the next couple of months. I'll have a little fun with it, see what happens. If things are looking pretty bleak, like it's not going to work out, maybe I'll just kind of move on then. But after reading this and kind of getting an understanding of the most likely scenario here, and that is Watcher of Realms just remains down. After 75 days is up, they go dark and you don't see them again in America. It does kind of take the wind out of your sails to jump back in and keep playing the game, because like any grind that I do, any extra effort I put in, essentially in 2.5 months is going to mean nothing if I'm not going through a billion miles of junk just to try to keep playing the game. And I'm not that into all that, right? I don't want to go through and spend all my time trying to find workarounds and back alleys just to play the game. Not for me. So it does kind of tank the old, what do you call it? Desire. There's a good word for it. Desire to jump on it and grind Watcher, try to grind out gear and make progress. Because, like, even if I do make an amazing amount of progress in the next 2.5 months, it could all be gone forever in 2.5 months plus 1 day. So there you go. I know this isn't, again, like a super happy, uplifting video. It's not what everyone wants to hear, but I'm just trying to be a realist. I'm trying to point you to what I think is actually going to take place, because I don't want people to get super invested and, like, oh, it's all going to be good, get their hopes really high, expectations really high, and then in 2.5 months they find out the situation is now repeated, but this time you're not getting back in, essentially. It's over. So I try to be the voice of reason here, let you know how I think things are going to shake down. Like I said, the deals and negotiations, they're not about Moonton. They're not about Watcher of Realms. They're about TikTok. And my guess is that is the one specific application they are going to try to work their hardest to get the exemption for, and everything else is just going to stay blanket banned. So there you guys go. Hope you found the video useful. If you did, I mean, smack that thumbs up button. Maybe get it out to some other people so they can see it. But that's all I got for you today. I hope you guys got something out of it. I'll see you guys in the next one.